I'm not totally sure, but I think what is presently happening with Stugotz as we try and fail to onboard him from whatever drug-soaked landscape he joins us from, I'm pretty sure it's what made Witty quit. And now Chris Cody is in that chair. Mike Ryan has stepped back. We can't get the audio we need right from Stugotz, so that will have to wait a segment, and we will get to him in a segment from now.
Whittingham probably executed the strangest quitting I've seen of anyone, because I walked out today and I was going to do something here in the lobby, and who do I see on the DraftKings channel with the Cooligans today? Witty. Yeah. Seems like Witty just quit coming here. Because he's still buzzing about, cashing checks from someone, doing something.
But also doing the things that he wants to, which include not having to deal with Stugotz's schedule and having his career harmed the way that yours has been
how
harmed
did he
by
escape
having
that?
to. Well, he just quit and took the parts of the job that he
Billy,
wanted.
you should start doing soccer.
We will get to Stugotz in a moment, but I want to go back for a second.
This Messi's coming to town, maybe.
It is a good gig. Attach yourself near the Messi phenomenon. It's probably going to skyrocket and take care of a whole lot of people in this economy. The fact that that guy somehow at this age is still at maximum leverage while it all fell apart for Ronaldo in like 18 months. They were equals, and then Ronaldo threw it all away, and Messi is still at maximum leverage. Anyone attaching themselves to him is going to make a lot of money.
Did you hear that Sergio Busquets is coming to town, too? I mean, I'm a big soccer guy.
Big time.
He'll be coming.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. From Spain.
Wow.
España.
Mike, how many people got the reporting wrong on all of this? Is this allowing you to take another victory lap?
Well, I guess one of the criticisms, if any, that I received was that you never actually said Messi was coming here. You just said that he wasn't re-signing with PSG. I flatly told everybody that Busquets was coming. Told you like in the winter. So yeah, he's coming. And
well, you told the subs.
I told the subs, I told everybody on Twitter, too, and I told people on the show that Busquets, that deal was fully negotiated and done months ago. So, yeah, he's coming here, and someone else is coming here, too, because Jorge Mas finally spoke to the media, confirmed a lot of these things. Remember, Messi has not yet signed, so that's why when you see graphics, the E is inexplicably missing because they can't come out and tell you Messi is here because he hasn't fully agreed. But Busquets, Messi, and there is a third jersey up there.
Go on.
Mm-hmm. No, we're not doing that.
You haven't earned it.
That's right.
Wow.
Where can people purchase the right to have exclusive insider information if they care to have it
There are emoji hints
from the Globe's international insider on all things Messi.
You can super follow at Michael Ryan Ruiz and give half of my money to Elon Musk.
One of the things that I wanted to get to as we try to onboard Stugotz here, because I don't want to lose the humanity of what I'm about to say here, because we just talked an hour ago about Mike Ryan is demanding that Mickey Arison not run his business like a responsible business that has to worry about money, but that he spend the maximum amount of money in order to run his business, the dollars of it poorly, but the part that feeds the fans the way that fans and columnists want it fed. When people say sports is just a business, when you hear them say that, we all kind of know it, it's a cliche, but I simply want to point to you in the glory and the frenzy of the transaction. We're going to head into the draft, and you just saw the league taken away from LeBron. This is how it's going to happen. They've been dominating these news cycles, these old guys, for a long time. LeBron just had it taken from him and is arguing on Instagram with Michael Malone, who's taunting him with making fun of him, looking like a ridiculous, drunken person who looks like an aged white rapper, looks like Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit. that he's taunting LeBron because they took the league from him, and now it's drunken, flat brim, sunglasses, bleep off LeBron, I got the big giant young guy. From that space where the league gets taken by the young people, Chris Paul endured what I would say would be a hurtful transaction to anybody who cares about an employer caring about them. It was a year ago that Chris Paul got that team to the finals and helped that team get where they were, was a hero in Phoenix, revived his career after Oklahoma City. Chris Paul goes down as a legend for these times, but because he never won, he will be disgraced. And furthermore, no one cares that without any respect whatsoever, at the end of his career, the Suns are like, yeah, we don't care that your family's here. We don't care about what you want. Get the hell out of here. You're an expiring contract. We're going to waive you. Thanks for the memories. Get out of here. Time for the young people. And what I would add, and the young people is Bradley Beal. Like, it's not really young people. It's just 8 years younger than you. And from within that conversation, I want to ask you, the group, what is Chris Paul's place in history? Because I understand it's a business, but it feels to me like the Suns, in the name of business, just wronged what is a legend for our times. Because Chris Paul is one of the 10 best players to have played during this period. But because he wasn't LeBron, because he wasn't Wade, hell, he's better than Carmelo. He doesn't get the same send-off and, in fact, at the end, gets hurt by his employer. Is he allowed to be hurt by his employer? Because, Greg, this person, for those of you who do not know, just wrote a book with Michael Wilbon because he is boys with Iger, was a power broker during player empowerment, the head of the union, got to the top of the sports business where he collaborates with Silver and Iger over what's the next deal look like for players and is an afterthought within the context of, well, you weren't as good as LeBron. You weren't nearly as good as LeBron. You weren't as good as Durant. You weren't nearly as good as Durant. But you're in the top 10, and at the end, get the hell out of here. We don't need you anymore. See if you can figure it out on your own. You're old. Time for the young people. It's a cruel ecosystem, man. It's cold.
It's ridiculous the way he found out that they didn't have the courtesy to speak to him directly. But to me, you compare him with other point guards, not with big guys. And his place, he's third all-time in steals, third all-time in assists. The fact that he didn't win a championship, for me, it matters very little. He's one of the greatest ever without equivocation.
One of the greatest ever for his size, for sure.
Yes.
Like it's Isaiah
I think
Thomas.
he meant point guards, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just
Point
talking. I'm
guard.
talking about players. I'm talking about players. This is a guy who, for 15 years during the LeBron era, was as good as any of them, like a few notches below, but by degrees for his size, incomparable almost. You got Isaiah Thomas winning championships on a broken foot, and then you go Chris Paul is second best, but will be a loser in the eyes of many people because he suffers the great shame of, well, you weren't nearly as good as LeBron.
Spent most of his pro career with no cartilage in that knee. Yeah, he's one of the all-time greats. Also, this is the third time he's been jettisoned because of his age, and he had a career resurgence at one of those destinations in Oklahoma City that made him a desirable contract. I understand that he's a little sour on it. We get to ask him about this. He's scheduled to join us this week, and the timing on that is pretty good. But, yeah, he was caught off guard by this, but the reports were that he knew his time in Phoenix was ending. If anything, I'd feel a little flattered that it just wasn't a salary cap dump the way that I've been previously in my career. I'm here. My contract's a piece, an attractive piece to help lure and make the money work out to get Phoenix to that next level.
At least psychologically, that has to help, right? Because you look at some other point guards who have been traded in the last few years who were also great players of their time. Russell Westbrook is an example, and Russell Westbrook played for the Thunder for so many years, brought them so close, remained loyal in a way where Chris Paul's been on a number of different teams throughout his career, and he ended up getting shipped to Houston and then flipped, of course, for Chris Paul.
It's a cold business. I don't think people care, though, Cody. I think they say, well, you make a lot of money, Chris Paul, and sorry, you got to move your family, or you got to figure it out. You got all summer to do it. Wherever you built a home, that's nice, but Phoenix was your home, and you got us so close. Giannis away. You were right there, and then it blows up, and your window closes, and now you're an afterthought again.
They're just enhancing his real estate portfolio because he's going to keep it in Phoenix, get one in Washington. Now my man's just spread out more.
I'm
Good on him.
I do find it fascinating. The triangle is now complete. The Bermuda Triangle for aging point guards of their generation. They all have stops in Washington, Houston, and the Clippers. It's just like John Wall, Westbrook, and Chris Paul just constantly shifting the triangle.
Kendrick Perkins, who has become a voice that is being heard on ESPN, says that Westbrook would be better for the Heat than Bradley Beal.
I disagree.
That is the silence that I expected.
I was going to say, that's about right.
Disagree.
But neither would be Lillard. Let's be clear about that.
Lillard, and I
Thank
stopped
you,
complaining
Greg.
about everything. I understand Dan's point. Like, it's funny how you frame that. I don't want him to run a responsible business for a team that he got from his dad. You know, how much money did he pay for the Miami Heat?
Oh, nothing.
Right.
I'm sure he worked hard for what he
how-
got.
Whatever. No, it's like how much money is he going to get eventually when the payday comes? And he may leave it for his son the way that he got it. But I'm not asking for much. I'm really not. A luxury tax.
Well, I think asking for much is asking him to spend more than any other owner. That's what you're asking for.
I mean,
You're
if
asking
not,
for
wouldn't it be
everything.
the owner that didn't pay for the team? Like, if he could ask that reasonably.
He should have a bad concept when it comes to money. Like, as somebody who grew up spoiled, I can speak to this. He should be willing to just say, tax, sure, whatever.
There was a rough pandemic on Carnival Cruise Lines. We all know the interest that the Saudis bought in Carnival Cruise Lines, but if you look at the teams that have capitalized on their championship window recently, a lot have done so by going into that luxury tax. And Mickey Arison decided to avoid that luxury tax by jettisoning Mike Miller, a shooter, around a prime LeBron James. It is a valid criticism.
Just to be clear, this is the fourth time you've made this valid criticism. I was talking about Chris Paul. How did you bring it back to the Heat? I was talking about.
Well, you were the one that mentioned
Well,
Mickey
but this
Arison.
is what you do, though, and it's not just you. I believe it's sports fans in general. You're always off to the next transaction. No time to celebrate the career of Chris Paul. Get out of here,
What
guy.
are
at
we
the
supposed
end.
to do though with Chris Paul? It was a bad contract. We all knew that. Congratulations, Phoenix. You got off of one bad contract. That's what the great teams in this league do.
When you're the general manager of the team, you and no one else wanted Chris Paul the last 4 years when that contract was a bad contract. Do you realize?
Oh, I wanted Chris Paul down here, and that was another. Actually, let me add Chris Paul's name to my
do you
working
realize?
dossier.
Do you realize how the Miami Heat would have been better if they had the last 4 years of Chris Paul instead of Kyle Lowry and assortment of others?
Mm-hmm.
They had that opportunity. This is an inexact thing that Mike wants to be perfect.
Yeah, and it bears saying that since
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.